Nyx is my favorite unit to use in Fire Emblem Fates Conquest, but she's often considered one of the worst from a pure viability standpoint. The reason being that her poor accuracy and paper defenses hold her back, even despite her ridiculously high magic and speed. But this is Conquest, a game where stats are yours to mold as you see fit, including accuracy. A game where one of the best ways to make forward progress is to kill everything with big player phase pushes, which makes it very easy to minimize the damage you take on enemy phase. I won't deny that Nyx requires a lot more investment to get going than most of your other units, but putting her in the same boat as the likes of Benny and Perry, who are held back massively by their terrible class access and relatively late join time, has been bugging me to no end for some time. Thus, with this series, I hope to showcase how you can go about turning Nyx into one of your strongest combat units without holding back the rest of your army, and by going at a reasonably fast pace. If you keep Nyx in her base Dark Mage class line, she's probably going to disappoint you. The class offers no ways to patch up her flaws, and without good accuracy, her spectacular offensive stats mean next to nothing. That said, she doesn't hate the class in the early game. The most valuable tool she gets out of it is Heartseeker, which reduces enemy avoid by 20 if you're adjacent to them. That's the plus 20 hit you can see on the stat screens now. It's extremely handy, but worth noting it won't always be active, especially if you're trying to chip enemies from afar. I'd argue this is the wrong way to use Nyx early game, but I'll get a little more into that later on. She also gets Malefic Aura, which is functionally a straight upgrade to Magic plus 2, which is nice. Sadly, relying on Heartseeker alone is not going to fix her late game, especially if you're using less accurate tomes. If you insist on using her on enemy phase, even Nosferatu and the Horse Spirit aren't going to do much to fix her bulk. Luckily, Nyx has some very valuable tools in her alternate class sets. Her Heartsteel class is Outlaw, which seems terrible on the surface, given it gives up tomes in exchange for bows. With a 4 strength, those aren't going to be dealing much damage. But at C rank in bows, Nyx will be able to use the Shining Bow, a 13 might 1-2 range bow that uses her magic stat rather than her strength stat. Not to mention, the Outlaw class gives her the skills Move plus 1, which improves her ability to pick off whatever threatening enemy you want on player phase, and Lucky 7, which improves her accuracy by 20 whole points on the first 7 turns. Extremely valuable if you're clearing maps efficiently. Even better, if she attains an A support with Mozu, she can become an archer, which gives her even more hit stacking skills in Skill plus 2, Certain Blow, and Air Superiority, and it retains her bow rank. Plus, the Sniper class gives an innate plus 10 hit bonus on its own. Certain Blow is the best skill she gets out of the class line. If you thought Lucky 7 was good, just you wait. This skill increases hit by 40 on player phase, which is when most of Nyx's combat will be happening. Air Superiority is only active against flyers, which is most applicable in chapters like Chapter 24, where Nyx can actually become a decent enemy phase sweeper if you play her cards right thanks to her higher resistance against the Bolt Naginata Falcon Knights. Other than that though, it's pretty niche. She also gets Quick Draw for a monstrous plus 4 damage on player phase, so she's definitely not going to be missing any 1-round thresholds anytime soon. With a good combination of even just a few of these, Nyx's supposed accuracy problems will be gone in a flash, despite the Shining Bow's lower hit compared to tomes. And her magic is so high that she'll have no trouble 1-rounding even in a non-magical class like Sniper or Kinchi Knight. Overall, with enough hit stack, both Sniper and Kinchi Knight are going to be excellent options for Nyx. Sniper is the more reliable option, and also the lower investment one, while Kinchi Knight has the highest ceiling due to its high mobility, especially if you picked up Move plus 1 from Outlaw. A 9-movement flyer with bows, combined with a bunch of other strong player phase mounted units, can trivialize one of the hardest maps in the game, Chapter 25, by taking out entire groups of enemies before they even have the chance to attack you. Don't discount Adventurer either. It's rare to find places where its higher magic actually matters, but staff support is a valuable tool that she can make great use of with her high magic. And for a funny niche, she's also one of the better candidates for enabling endgame skips involving Pass after the capturable Falcon Knights in Chapter 24 and Adventurer Niles or Nina. If you haven't been training Niles, you won't have access to any of these, so it does technically have a use case. You can also reclass back into a tome using class after picking up your hit stacking skills, but generally, if you're reclassing again at that point, Kinchi Knight is always going to be the better option. The extra weapon access is nice though. I'd be remiss not to mention that if Nyx marries Odin, she gets access to the Samurai class, which gives her the skills Vantage and Life and Death. With these, she can one-shot enemies before they even get a chance to attack her, and solo entire maps this way. It's a perfectly functional build, but I'm not going to be making use of it, nor am I taking it into account in my opinion of Nyx's viability. It's fun to do once, but after that, soloing the game in the same way just becomes boring. Therefore, my plan for Nyx is simple. turn her into a player phase Shining Bow user that can delete threatening enemies with perfect accuracy. The following videos will showcase the beginnings of a playthrough where I train her to be exactly that. This will require us to train her bow rank, which you might think could turn into a slog, but I'm staying true to my word. I won't slow down for Nyx at all, nor give her any special treatment I don't think is fair. I'll be doing all of this, while still training up a full team. Also, we're playing on lunatic difficulty, but I'm sure you knew that already. So without further ado, let's get this show on the road. We're starting this demonstration on Chapter 9, Nyx's Join map. Much like her fellow Dark Mage Odin, she leaves a terrible first impression. This map consists of dodgy samurai, archers with underdog, and, most predominantly, spear fighters, who have weapon triangle advantage against her. If you're playing casually, her hit rate issues are going to be extremely pronounced. We aren't reclassing Nyx just yet, so we'll have to find a way around that. Luckily, Nyx joins with two things that help her immensely in that department: a Fire Tome, the most accurate tome of all, and Heartseeker. I introduced Heartseeker earlier, and it's going to be a pivotal part of this clear. The way a lot of people are tempted to use Nyx is to chip enemies from afar to let your other units clean up around her, but this is a mistake. Heartseeker won't be active from range, so her hit rates are going to be pretty pathetic if you play that way. Instead, Nyx is much better at taking kills herself at one range, which she can do without facing a counterattack with either a little bit of chip or a dual strike. This is a more valuable job than it appears on the surface. Early game conquest enemies, particularly spear fighters and early savages, are especially bulky, so not just anyone can poach these kills for themselves. That said, this job becomes a lot less necessary scarily quickly, which is why Dark Mage Nyx tends to fall off around the mid-game. With generous use of these tools, as well as the +10 hit from attack stance, Nyx's accuracy won't be a problem at all on this map. Nyx's wishlist for this map is very short. She wants to get to level 10 to learn Malefic Aura, and she wants to earn a C support with Effie. Don't worry, I'm not actually recommending you go down the R9 class tree with her, although that is a very funny build. Rather, she just wants to make use of Effie's ridiculous power bonuses eventually for a strategy I've concocted. This is the most convenient time to build that support, since her most important support partner hasn't joined yet. One last thing before we start. We'll be playing with animations off, but I still want you to see what Nyx's accuracy looks like on enemy phase. Therefore, I'm editing the battle stats in post. There's only one instance where Nyx attacks on enemy phase in this particular clear, so this isn't that relevant for now, but she will do it again, eventually. Alright, that's all. Now let's begin the map.
How very annoying.
Our main force can take on the group at the entrance, while Corrin moves east to recruit Nyx. This spear fighter can end up in one of 3 different positions. No matter where he moves, Niles can always chip with Arthur's support, and Silas can always finish him off from the same spot. I use an iron bow here as insurance in case Arthur's dual strike misses. Lily's voice secures this kill. At level 10, Silas learns Shelter, which he'll make use of very soon.
Well,
I'm skipping most of the dialogue here, but we'll listen to Nyx's introductory speech. Fates' writing is a little on the nose, but Nyx is actually one of its more interesting characters, even if her design is unfortunate, to say the least. The writers had every opportunity to screw her character up, but for the most part, they didn't. I think we're all thankful for that.
trouble, but oh. Mhm. No. What? Yes. Ugh, for crying out loud!
Nyx drops Corrin to the right to tank an enfeeble staff. If you want to, you can singly tank all 4 uses from outside enemy range, but that takes a while and is pretty boring. Besides, we have enough sources of damage mitigation not to care if we get debuffed. I'm unequipping Silas here, not so that the samurai target him, they're already going to do that because Effie kills on the counterattack, but to ensure he doesn't accidentally put them into vantage range. Odin applies Heartseeker to the paired up samurai. 3 different people will benefit from that. Effie is able to get this clean one-shot thanks to the strength tonic I gave her. Helps her out later, too. Niles benefits from the plus 10 hit of attack stance. Even under Heartseeker, he still didn't have perfect accuracy without it. Odin will counterattack the archers through the wall. He's getting enfeebled, so he needs a speed tonic to not get doubled by the shining bow one, and a magic tonic to set up a kill for next turn. If he got those stats from his first level up, these tonics would be unnecessary. could have traded Nosferatu to Nyx while she was paired up with Odin, but I decided against it. Odin's a better user of it anyway, because of his higher defense and skill. There are some situations where Nyx likes using Nosferatu, but we won't be encountering them in this playthrough. Elise won't be targeted by the archer, because the enemy see a kill on Corrin right now. Of course, they failed to take dual guard into account, so Corrin won't actually die. With +6 defense from Lily's voice and Jacob's evasive partner, she's perfectly safe even after Enfeeble, though she could have supplemented that with Tonics if she rolled low on HP or defense. We do want all the enemies to hit to activate Silas' vow of friendship, so for that purpose, male Corrin might actually be better. Felicia's devoted partner doesn't increase a void after all. Though in that case, we definitely would have needed a tonic. The reason I chose female Corrin will become clear eventually, though you can certainly replicate most of my strategies with Felicia instead of Jacob. Nyx will very rarely be benefiting from Jacob's jaunty Olmora anyway, as she mostly attacks on player phase. Nyx 1 rounds with perfect accuracy. We don't actually want her to kill though, so we'll be using the tome that slows her down. Nyx can pick up the slack if Effie misses. Bet you didn't see that one coming. Silas gets D rank in lances, which lets him use the javelin. Unlike Shelter, he doesn't always have to use it this clear, only sometimes. Due to a quirk of the AI of the archers near Haitaka, they won't move outside the box they're in. This actually caught me off guard when I was first planning this clear, but I soon incorporated it into the strategy. Case in point, Silas won't be attacked by the archers here, which is good. The main benefit of Jacob here is actually his combat prowess. That's a lot harder to replicate with Felicia. This is why I recommend not copying my strategies one-to-one if you try training Nyx yourself, and working with the tools available to you instead.
This will do!
Nyx is going to fight the Shining Bow Archer on enemy phase, which means Counter Curse will activate, and actually score her a kill she otherwise wouldn't have gotten. Using Nosferatu here might be slightly more consistent to lower her Void, but I don't do this. Partially because it denies Odin the dual strike, but mostly just to prove a point. This is the lowest accuracy attack Nyx has to hit on the entire map, at 94%. It also ends her first level up, and Maleficora.
Appearances can be deceiving.
Arthur needs two things to survive this enemy phase: a pair partner and Lily's voice. Luckily, we have those on hand.
Whoa, whoa!
It doesn't matter if Arthur misses the dual Naginata guy, and it also doesn't matter if said dual Naginata guy ends up north or east of him. The bolt knocking out a guy can either head directly south or somewhat east. The exact movements vary slightly depending on which way he goes, but the outcome is ultimately the same. We have a chill turn to set up for the boss kill now, but first, Nix and Effie earn the last 4 points they need for a C support. Nix applies Heartseeker, and Elise tries to freeze the boss. This should make our attacks as accurate as possible. If Silas dodged a lot of attacks, Jacob wouldn't be healed as much from Lip to Serve. Lily's poise should make his survival more likely, as should Azura's healing Descant. We want to save the skill for Niles, so Silas takes Jacob's dagger.
Yes.
We got 3 prizes from that. Move +1 on Niles is great, but Haitaka and the Heart Seal are the real treasures. A captured Haitaka makes a great ally for Nosferatu tanking Nyx, as rally defense greatly increases her bulk. Combined with the accuracy boost from supportive, Nyx can become extremely strong, especially in Chapter 10, and will have an easier time reaching one-shot thresholds than Odin. We won't be using this strategy, but it's something to keep in mind. And I'm sure you already know I'm excited about the Heart Seal. I intentionally left it so, if we wanted, we could dance for Niles to get the rescue chest and seize to end the map this turn. But I'm okay with spending 1 extra turn getting Odin some extra experience, so I'll have to settle for a 13 turn clear, rather than a 12 turn.
My aching blood!
If you have some spare actions near the end of the map, it's always worth it to spend some time shelter singing to get Azura closer to unlocking Inspiring Song. And Nyx seizes the throne. It's only fitting. As you can see, using Nyx doesn't have to be such a slog, nor do you have to constantly be worried about low hit rates. Compared to people like Arthur, Dragonstone Corrin, or even Effie, Nyx has plenty of ways of augmenting our accuracy, even at base, and this is only going to get more true with time. This is why I don't think it's fair to take Nyx's skill stat at face value, at least at first. But we will have to take some steps to stop it from becoming a problem. Next time, we do exactly that, by giving Nyx a new class and a new best friend. Can she still keep up when she's not using her magic stat? The answer may surprise you.